I never thought I'd be telling this story, but here I am. My wife and I had been married for 12 years, living what I believed was a perfect life. Both of us were doing well in our careers. I was earning six figures in tech consulting while she worked as a senior manager at a major retail company. We didn't want kids, which was a mutual decision we never regretted. Our life took us from Chicago to Seattle and finally to San Jose. The moves were mainly because of my job, but my wife always adapted well. When we finally settled in San Jose 4 years ago, I felt it was time to celebrate our stability. I bought her a brand new Mercedes Qley as a surprise, something I now look back on with mixed feelings. The trouble started about 2 months after I gave her the car. A warning light came on, and she took it to the dealership. She came back saying they fixed it under warranty, and she seemed unusually happy about it. Looking back, I should have noticed something was off. A few weeks later, she scratched one of the rims while parking. Instead of going through insurance or the dealership, she told me about some guy at the service center who could fix it for cheaper. I wasn't too keen on the idea, but she insisted it would save us money. She went ahead with it anyway, coming back 4 hours later in an oddly cheerful mood. Everything seemed normal for the next few months until my car started having brake issues. I was downtown, far from my regular mechanic when it happened. Remembering my wife's rim repair guy, I called her for his address since I was in that area. Her reaction was strange. She hesitated, stuttered, and tried to convince me not to go there, saying he only specialized in Mercedes. I insisted, and she reluctantly sent me the address. When I got there, I met this young mechanic, couldn't have been older than 26. The moment I mentioned my wife's car, his expression changed. He let slip that she'd been there just a week ago, which was news to me since she never mentioned any car issues. That night, I couldn't sleep. My suspicions were eating at me. While my wife was sleeping, I checked her phone. We'd always known each other's passwords. That's how much we trusted each other. What I found in her messages destroyed me. She'd been meeting this mechanic regularly, and their conversations left no doubt about what was happening. I spent the next few days in a daze, calling in sick to work. The pain was unbearable, but slowly it turned into anger. Not the kind that makes you want to break things, but the cold type that makes you want justice. I needed her to feel the same pain I was feeling, but I wanted to do it right. That's when I learned about her upcoming presentation. She'd been preparing for weeks to pitch to a major tech company that could bring millions to her firm. She was the lead on this project, and everything had to be perfect. I even helped her prepare, playing the role of the client and giving her tips, all while plotting my revenge. The night before her big presentation, I waited until she was asleep. I had my plan ready, something that would hurt her professionally just like she'd hurt me personally. Part 1 of my revenge was about to begin, and I couldn't wait to see how it would play out. That night, I went to the garage with a clear plan. I knew exactly where the battery was located in her Mercedes, under the driver's seat. I disconnected it carefully, making sure everything looked untouched. I even tried starting the car to confirm it wouldn't work, knowing our garage was well insulated and the noise wouldn't wake her. But I didn't stop there. I went to my car and let the air out of one tire. I knew she'd want to use my car when hers wouldn't start, and I wanted to delay her even more. Then I turned off her alarm for the next morning. Her presentation was at 8 a.m., and I was going to make sure she'd be late. The next morning, I woke her up at 7:10, pretending to be worried that her alarm hadn't gone off. She rushed to get ready, and by 7:55, she was finally done with her morning routine. I didn't help her with coffee like I usually did, just watched her run around in panic. When she tried to start her car, nothing happened. She called me to the garage, and I pretended to check the engine, wasting another 5 minutes. By now, she was nearly in tears. It was 8:15 when she finally asked to take my car. Just as she was about to leave, I mentioned the flat tire. She found my portable pump and filled the tire herself, then drove off way too fast. It was already 8:30, and her meeting was a 20-minute drive away in morning traffic. I worked from home that day, using my wife taking my car as an excuse. While waiting, I reconnected her car's battery to hide what I'd done. 2 hours later, I heard my car pull up. My wife walked in crying. Through her tears, she told me everything. She'd arrived so late that her rival at work had to take over the presentation. It was a complete disaster. The tech company walked away, and her firm lost out on millions. Her boss fired her on the spot, and she had to walk out while everyone watched. I pretended to be sympathetic and even blamed the mechanic for not maintaining her car properly. I noticed how she went quiet when I mentioned him, probably realizing that her affair had indirectly led to this disaster. She spent that evening drinking, while I went upstairs claiming I had a headache. In reality, I was emailing my lawyer about divorce papers. I had to put up with her for a few more days before everything was ready. When I finally handed her the divorce papers, she completely broke down. "Why are you doing this to me?" she cried. "What did I do to deserve this?" That's when I couldn't hold back anymore. "I don't know," I said. "Maybe you can ask your mechanic friend. While you're at it, have him check your car. Wouldn't want you losing another job." The look on her face was priceless. She stood there, mouth open, unable to speak. For the first time since discovering her affair, I actually laughed. I told her to pack her things and leave, then drove around town to clear my head. When I returned home that night, she was gone. I sat in our empty house, feeling a mix of emotions: sadness, relief, anger, and even a bit of satisfaction. The place felt different, like a weight had been lifted off it. 2 weeks passed before I could bring myself to write about what happened next. She never came back to the house. I told her parents everything, showing them the messages I'd found. They were disappointed but didn't try to defend her. That meant a lot to me. We'd always been close, and I was afraid they'd take her side. I started going through our shared memories, putting away photos and gifts. Each item brought back moments that now felt fake. The Mercedes still sat in our garage. She hadn't even tried to claim it. I decided to sell it since it only reminded me of her betrayal. Friends started calling when they heard about our split. Most were shocked. We'd always seemed like the perfect couple. I told them the truth. There was no point in hiding it, and I didn't want people thinking I was the one who messed up. Some friends suggested I should have confronted her right away when I found out about the affair. Others said I went too far by making her lose her job. But none of them knew how it felt to help your wife prepare for a presentation while knowing she was sleeping with someone else. The mechanic? I thought about getting back at him too. He was young and stupid, and my wife was the one who'd made vows to me, not him. I decided to let it go. He wasn't worth the effort. Though sometimes I still think about sending all their messages to his boss at the dealership. My lawyer says the divorce should be simple since we don't have kids or many shared assets. She's not fighting it, probably knows she has no grounds to demand anything. Last I heard, she's staying with her sister in Sacramento. It's been a month now. I'm starting to feel more like myself again. I joined a gym, started cooking my own meals, and even joined a hiking group. My job keeps me busy, and my boss has been understanding about the whole situation. Sometimes I wonder if I went too far with my revenge. Making someone lose their job is serious. But then I remember how she threw away 12 years of marriage for a fling with a guy who probably just saw her as an easy target. That's when I know I made the right choice. Yesterday, I got a letter from her. I haven't opened it yet. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Part of me wants to know what she has to say, but another part thinks it doesn't matter anymore. The woman I loved died the moment she decided to cheat. I'm 43 now, with a good career and no baggage. My friends keep telling me to start dating again, but I'm not ready. For now, I'm focusing on myself. I've started traveling on weekends, trying new restaurants, and doing all the things I couldn't when I was busy being the perfect husband. This whole experience taught me something important. You never really know someone completely. The person you trust the most can hurt you the worst. But it also taught me that I'm stronger than I thought. I didn't let her betrayal break me. Instead, I took control and made sure she faced consequences for her actions. Would I do it all again the same way? Probably. Some might call it petty or excessive, but I call it justice. She didn't just cheat on me. She disrespected our entire marriage. All the years we spent together, all the sacrifices we made for each other. Her losing her job doesn't even begin to compare to what I lost. Life goes on, and so will I. Without her, without the fake happiness, and without the burden of being the good guy who forgives everything. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just getting even, it's getting better. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with friends or family who might enjoy it too. Your support means a lot. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or story ideas, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.